Welcome back to another episode of We Talk Fit
with Mish and Dean. Positive outlook.
Okay.
Right. So, to follow on from last time, on the whole diet and journey that you go on with, setting a goal and then where you want to go. We touched on last week, like, more general. So, I think consistency was used more than any other word.
Pretty much, yeah.
I had a chat with someone the other morning about it again. It was just trying to get the point across that have a look, if you've got a new goal in mind, have a look for something that you are currently already doing consistently that might be taking you slightly away from
your goal.
And that's probably a better place to start than thinking you have to add this big thing or take this big thing. Just look at that first before you start implementing something else. I think it's a really good point.
Yeah, I agree with that.
For a lot of people.
Yeah, taking something away that you're not doing very well and before adding too much stress and added thought process.
What do you, we talked about, we mentioned that we don't really think any foods within reason are particularly bad. And you can call them cheat meals and all those things and still get in pretty good shape and stuff. What do you think about, and I never really asked you this, about like, do you use it with clients? Do you use it? Have you come across like when you bank calories?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have. Yeah.
So pull them from another day. So it saves them a little bit.
Say we've got an event coming up. They've got a goal and they want to be somewhere. Like, say their goal is to lose 10 kilos. We've got them slightly less than what they sort of need for the daily intake, and they've got an event in between their goal set time.
Yeah.
Say their goal,
which is nearly always the case, by the way.
Yeah. So say you've got your goal's in 3 months, but they've got an event in 2.5.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, or 2 months or whatever. What we'll do is we'll go through. They'll learn all the calories first. Learn how to count calories a little bit. Learn how to track their meals and do all that. So they'll get a little bit more strict with it. And then once they've got that down pat, I only introduce calorie banking to people who know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Because otherwise it just becomes a little bit too much, a little bit overwhelming and things. But yeah, basically with it is I'll get them to do, it might be 50 calories a day, and then they have a heap more for that event that they have on the weekend.
Yeah.
Or depending on how long the event is for, we may sometimes do 100 a day. Like it depends on what they plan to do with that weekend, or what the plans are for that weekend or that day.
So it can potentially work. I guess again, it's going to come down to what type of person's trying to implement it as well. Like, we mentioned
different personalities, and it will work for some and it won't for others.
Some people don't have, and everything's meant to be respectful, right? But some people don't have the restraint required. So, we talked about if you're not the sort of person that can have chocolate biscuits in the house and not go and eat 2 or 3 of them. Do you get what I mean? And that's the way it is, then that's the way it is, and we can work on other things. But if that's a problem, then you can guarantee that trying to bank calories, and then because you're going to probably bank half the amount that you're actually going to consume, and there's going to be you're going to tell yourself lies essentially. So
so it depends on the personality, depends on the psychological side of it, I suppose, on their habits and everything that we've already sort of looked at. And then I sort of choose how to and who to implement that with, or introduce that to with clients, because some can do it no dramas, and some can't, or they struggle to do it. So do you use it much with yours?
Nah, not really. No, not really. I try and avoid it if possible. I try and be a bit more, if there's a goal, and we're a bit more specific to that goal.
Yeah.
It's not always ideal, and the goal's always relevant to that individual. So what one person's journey and goal might look like is very disciplined. That might look really achievable for someone else. So yeah, so I try not to talk too much about specifics because it can look so varied. But yeah, I'd err more on the side of common sense. You know, without trying to count it too much. You know, this is separating like athletes and getting on stage type scenarios, because that's where you've got to be a lot more specific. But if it's general population, I'd err more on common sense. Okay, we've had 3 weeks in a row where you have been on point with deficit every day. Okay, you're going out for a pizza tonight. It's not
enjoy it. Yeah, don't yeah.
It's not going to be more, unless I have to be more thorough than that. It's worth noting though that I used the example of a pizza and a bag of chips last week. Some pizzas from well-known establishments can have like 2,000 calories in them. So, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you have to be careful when you start giving people leeway, and the more that I'm getting older and less tolerant and miserable.
You can give an inch.
Yeah, I'm trying to
sort of,
give people less, because I find that we're just becoming we're almost coming up with excuses for issues that haven't come up yet, like in some senses. So yeah, I try not to give everybody the easy tickets.
Yeah, so the old saying, you give an inch, you take a mile, like and that happens a lot. It's like, oh, I can have a cheat meal, and your cheat meal turns into 2 days worth of calories, and then all of a sudden you're not in your deficit for that week.
Yeah.
And it's been, because if you do it that way, and you go, all right, well, you enjoy your meal and don't worry about it. You don't even mention your calorie banking or anything like that. But having that conversation and going, all right, well, that's fine, enjoy your cheat meal. But you still be aware of what you're doing, because then if you're going and eating two days worth of calories in one sitting, because you're having like a big creamy pasta meal and a big cheesecake, or like it's high fat, and you got this or that, all the drinks that you have as well, and then all of a sudden you're like way up for the whole week.
Yeah.
And it's being aware for most people that it doesn't mean eating. It doesn't mean eating like a pig. You go out, you have your cheat meal, but you don't need to be. It's
not just a complete switch off from what you're doing and what you're working towards. That's not the same thing, and that's exactly what I'm on about. Is like, it's meant to be. Let's call it a cheat meal. There's worse things, I guess, in the world, but like you say, it's not just we'll just forget everything we've been talking about and working towards. That's not what it's meant to be, and that's unfortunately what it often becomes.
Yeah.
And then you're making a bigger issue.
Yeah, pretty much.
So with regards to more taking it a little further, and people talk about like bulking and cutting, or whether you want to call it cutting or fat loss, is what it is essentially. What do you have like certain sort of templates almost in your head of where you would start with bulks, or how do you
with a bulk?
Yeah, what are your big ticket items that you look for with that scenario? Can be for yourself, or could be with clients, or and I'm not suggesting for a second it's like one thing size fits all, because that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work.
Do you have general rules of thumb that you try and
before even getting into any sort of bulking or cutting or anything, it's assessing where they're at, where clients are at, and if it's myself, like I sort of know roughly where I'm at, but
me too.
What they're already consuming, what their average energy intake is already at.
Yeah.
Which generally for someone that's new is 3,000 one day, 1,000 next.
Yeah, sporadic
it
at
is,
best.
So it's working out where they're at, what they're at, and giving the education first around that.
Yeah.
And most people, when you're talking general, most people don't need to know bulking or cutting realistically.
Yeah.
But when I'm working with someone who wants to bulk or wants to build some muscle, is working out where their maintenance is first, making sure that they know what's going to help them build the muscle, all that just general protein and carbohydrate windows. And I'd never promote a dirty bulk, which is a topic in itself.
Yeah, it's not something it can work.
It can.
It definitely can work. There is look, I probably should have done a little bit more homework for exact numbers. There is evidence to suggest that obviously the more, let's say you're on a bulk, surplus of calories, so you're consuming more energy than you are using.
Yep.
Okay, in simplistic terms. There in within that, if there's a good amount of fat content, you are going to, regardless of how much muscle tissue you're building, you are going to put on body fat. Now, if you are putting on too much body fat at the same time as some muscle tissue, it will inhibit the amount of muscle tissue you can build.
Yes.
So you have to watch that balance. So, like old school people,
used to be very much
used to be like just calories.
Yeah.
There's some benefits to that, without trying to sound like, how do I put this, give you a license to just do what the hell you want. But first of all, from a mental point of view, it's good to be relaxed, right? I'm going to give you the negatives in a minute because people can take it and run too far with it. So it's good to be relaxed and not have to worry too much. And for people that are conscious, or so coming from skinny lad originally, it's nice to see the scales going the right way.
Mm-hmm.
You probably have an excess of fuel when you want to use it.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, if we were going to come in and do a deadlift session and I want a load of fuel on tap ready for explosive power, would I want to have a full Christmas lunch first? No, because I'm going to feel bloated and fat and heavy and slow. And so, yeah, so just take all those things into consideration.
When we did dirty, yeah. More so we did dirty bulk and stuff, though. So if you think about, like you've used the car analogy a few times, and I use this often with my clients when it comes to consuming food, energy. You got a nice Porsche, you ain't got to put diesel in it.
Yeah.
Or the motor will blow up. You're going to put nice...
Yeah. High octane
fuel
yeah.
in that Porsche.
It's a same thing with octane, isn't it?
Like, you're going to put good fuel in that car to make sure it's running at its optimum level when you're coming in and doing those deadlifts, like you mentioned, or something like that. Yeah. You're gonna try and fuel yourself for what your goal is in that respect. So you're not gonna go and eat like you say, a Christmas lunch or big dirty Macca's burger or all that sort of stuff that's gonna make you feel a bit because it's not going to give you fuel that you need. It's
also worth noting that slight positive I was talking about there, that relaxed attitude a little bit, is quite short-term mentality. Oh, yeah. So I want to just underline it with that it can feel good, but generally speaking, it's not going to be how you go long-term.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so the old school stuff about dirty bulking, some excess is good and required, obviously. But if it's too far in the fats and carbs side of the ledger, it will have a detrimental effect on how much lean tissue you can build.
Mm.
So I would, depending on, I'm just being highly professional on my phone here. I nearly always go sort of 1.5, sometimes as much as 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight, which is slightly high and probably not absolutely needed when you get up to the 2. Depending on the person.
For a client, not for yourself?
Bit of both.
Bit of both, yeah.
Yeah, I can get away with that. But obviously someone that's a lot smaller, they don't need all of that protein. Depends.
Mm-hmm.
So I use that as a bit of a guide, right? So if I've got that in place, so let's say person A has 1.8 grams of protein per kilo of body weight.
Mhm.
Okay. We know we're in a pretty good, not perfect by any means, depending on person. It's hard without having specific stuff. But we know we're in a pretty good place for protein intake. So we've got some building blocks there for building tissue. Then I would balance out the rest with carbs and
Couple of
fats.
Yeah.
And again, depending on the person and what they can and can't eat, and is there any dietary preferences and stuff. But that's and we only want a slight surplus.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be massive at all.
So the surplus comes from just general calories on top of what they're going to use per day.
Yeah.
We know we're going to be in a pretty good spot. Go on. I can see the cogs going around.
Just a little bit on the sort of, I suppose, to do with it. One of the ones that I had a little while ago with a client was, or a member, was I'm eating like 100 and, what was it? Basically, he was consuming 3.5 to 4 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. And he'd cut all his carbs out because he wanted to get lean. And minimal fats. And I was like, oh, okay. This is...
Yeah.
I said, oh, how about we go... We did a 2.2. We did 2.1, 2.2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight.
Yep.
And I said, I want you to introduce your carbs and I want you to be up here. And then your fats can be around here, essentially.
Yeah.
And then he goes, because he was feeling he's working in an office, he's feeling fatigued, he's falling asleep, he's having to have a heap of coffee, all that stuff, right? And then adjusted all of that, bumped the carbs right up. He's like, oh my God, like the carbs are more than my protein. I don't like that's, but what? Like, no, that's wrong. I'm like, no, I need to like eat more carbs. And he goes, a week later, comes back, I'm not falling asleep at the desk. I'm feeling really good. Like I've got so much energy. I'm not having to have so much coffee anymore. Blah blah. And then he's then actually as well gone and dropped. It was something like there was 2 kilos in the week, 2.5.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, and he's gone. I wasn't dropping any weight, and I was, all this was going on, and like your body needs fuel. Fuel comes from carbohydrates turning into glucose, into glycogen, and all the rest of it. You've got all that process. That's where your energy comes from. That's what's firing all your brain and being able to sit at a computer and at a desk and not fall asleep.
All of those systems require fuel, not just we obviously talk about the gym stuff, but all of those systems require that fuel.
Yeah, sorry, a little bit of a thing, but it just reminded me of...
Yeah, and it's probably worth chatting about as well, like, because it's quite, it is common, I guess, that people will go overboard with the protein intake and cut down the carb intake. And I understand why that would look like the right thing to do. But bearing in mind, your body's only going to use or even need so much protein. And once it's hit that, it's going to start just using that protein as very expensive carbs, essentially. So just be wary of that too, that like at some point, it's just going to try and use it as the same type of fuel source. So you're not really gaining anything by that, especially if you're eating like expensive, and I'm thinking from a budget point of view here, expensive lean proteins, and your body's using it as carbohydrate type fuel after a certain point. That's why we always look at it. Sounds like shitty with the instant gratification market, but that's why we talk about this much protein, then you balance the rest out.
Yeah.
And you need fats too. Don't ignore them.
And then you've got, there's still a little bit of research and stuff going around it with people who have generally kidney problems or anything like that with protein.
Flick me that message.
I did.
Okay. Thank you, buddy. Sorry. Super professional on the answer.
Super efficient.
So like people with kidney problems or anything like that, they've then got to be actually more careful with how much protein they have.
Yeah.
So for a while there was a lot of research on too much protein, hurt your kidneys, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of newer research saying that generally speaking, it's more for people who already have an issue.
Yeah.
But you still got to be careful of it, of having too much, essentially. So then you've got to think about that side of things when people are having 4 odd grams of protein or 5 odd grams of protein per kilo of body weight. And then you're like, oh, you just sort of got to be careful on the medical side of things.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, always everything we say, like we're only giving you advice on this. Basically, like if there's anything that you feel needs more, like speak to a dietitian or your GP and then a dietitian. Like we're not trying to be something we're not, but we're talking about, if we go back a little bit more towards putting it alongside exercise and a lifestyle goal, if you will. I completely agree with you that it's quite easy to fall into traps.
Yeah.
And you only need to hear a little bit of something somewhere and you go, oh yeah, but you didn't hear the big picture of it. And then suddenly you think that's the way to go with this. Yeah. And then, so that's probably also worth saying, if, let's say you went down the avenue of a dirty bulk, so 2 things. If you go down the avenue of a dirty bulk, are you going to be disciplined enough when you are not dirty bulking any longer to remove the very nice things that you've been allowing yourself to have whenever you want?
Mm-hmm.
And are you going to be prepared to put in the extra work that it's going to take to cut down the excess fat? So you might have built a load of muscle tissue underneath body fat, and that's cool, but it's going to require that work as well. So it's this bit's easy. It's like the downhill part of a journey, but then there's an uphill bit coming.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually got you've got show ready before, and I've got like super lean before.
You were ready for show pretty much.
More or less, yeah. So we've both been on that the cut journey, if you want to call it that. And I actually, although it was difficult at times, I actually like really embraced it at a point, and I got to the point where I like really enjoyed it. Like it sounds a bit sadistic, I guess, but I actually really bought into that side of it, and from a like, and you know me, I overanalyze everything from a bloody mental point of view, but I really like that part of it. This is what I'm doing, and
this is where
I'm committed to something. And
I actually found the bulk hardest.
Yeah. What, just purely because it was like more food than you felt you needed and wanted? Yeah. That is tough. Like,
don't get me wrong, when you get down to a certain amount of calories and you got, hour of cardio a day and you're training every day and posing every day and, minimal food, like, yes, that was hard. But when you are absolutely chock-a-block full and you are still trying to shove food in your mouth and it's 9 o'clock at night and you haven't hit your calories, so you're trying to still fit more food in your mouth.
Yeah, it's a push, like.
And clean food, oh, man. That was
tough.
Yeah, as well. So
I guess it's going to be the mental game is going to be the hardest part of all of those journeys, both directions. You've got people that have come off a potential weight loss journey in the past and might have cut down X amount of kilos, and now they want to build muscle tissue, and that's not going to happen unless you add a surplus back in. And
it doesn't have to be much, just got to be just over maintenance.
So like if you, I'm just picking numbers out of the sky, but like if you were on 100 calories a day extra than what you need, at the end of the week, you've had 700 calories across a week. I'm only picking numbers out of the sky, but you can quite easily see how small bits done often enough can be like a whole half day's calories you've gained across a week without having to eat, a whole extra meal per day. Now, obviously, depends how quickly you're wanting to put tissue on. Depends on how
you're training.
Yeah.
How intense you're training. Well, if you're actually training with proper full intensity.
I know lots of people that train really well for general health and fitness. That's not the same as training trying to build, like really actively build tissue
in a certain amount of time. Yeah.
And that's before I get into like my, like when I see the matrix in my language of not just how intensely you're training, but how specifically you're training. So are we building muscle like a bodybuilder would build muscle and really focusing on the muscle doing the work, whichever muscles groups we want to try and train, not just moving from A to B with the dumbbell or the barbell or whatever. Because those things all affect that dietary side of stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like it's not just a calorific intake where, okay, we're in a surplus and we're lifting heavy things. Cool. So yes, you'll put weight on.
Yeah.
But if you want to build your quads, like you're gonna have to dial in on how you're training them alongside a surplus.
Yeah.
Alongside the cardio things and all this.
Yeah.
Lots of parts.
Lots of moving parts, absolutely.
So you struggled more with the bulk.
I did, yeah.
Than the cut mentally, and physically.
And physically, man. Yeah. Like, but yeah, it was that was definitely the hardest part of it.
You didn't.
I mean, really... I was up or close to. I was close to 3,000 calories.
Yeah, which is a lot, obviously, with because you're quite a small frame.
Yeah.
But you weren't. It wasn't a particularly dirty bulk, was it?
No.
Like with obviously the exceptions of a few things, but you weren't like just going whole hog, purely looking at calories, however they came.
No, I was trying to go more clean foods.
Yeah.
So your rice and potato for your carbs, and your I'd actually introduced towards the end to make it a tiny bit easier. Which isn't even bad. Honey on some crumpets. Like bagels. Like
when I think dirty bulk, I think like not saturated, but like heavy fats and.
When I think dirty bulk, I think pizzas every day and McDonald's.
Yeah, that's what I would say as well. Like
to me, that's a dirty bulk.
Like in the great scheme of things, some crumpets and honey and those sort of things, like they're not. Other than like if you've got intolerances to glutens and
that's not a dirty bulk to me.
Preservatives and those kinds of things. If they have a problem with you, that's going to be an issue. But nah, like you know me, like I'm sitting in a relative surplus most of the time, but I'm still relatively lean at the same time. Relatively.
Yeah.
Because I like to be, at the minute, the way my strength stuff is, I like to be on that side and then I can pull the trigger when I want and get lean again.
Yeah. Which you can do. You can be very, very minimal surplus or staying around your maintenance, and like you can get lean a lot quicker than having put on 10 kilos of body fat in a bulk or whatever, and then you gotta you might only put a kilo on of muscle mass. That's probably one of the biggest things that happens with a bulk and a cut is people will overindulge in their calorie intake and their energy, your energy out, energy in, etc. Energy in's out up here. So that's like massive, but they might only be putting 1 or 2 kilos on in a 12-month period. Generally speaking, gen bulk. But then they've actually put on 10 kilos in a 12-month period or something.
Yeah, because this hasn't gone up either.
And then you've got 8 kilos worth of body fat to sort of get rid of.
Guess how much work that's going to take. Yeah.
And that happens a lot. Instead of being able to just keep that minimal amount going up and being a little bit more strict with it, and then you can, like you say, you can pull the trigger and get lean all of a sudden.
Isn't that funny?
Not all of a sudden, but you can pull the trigger and it's a little bit easier. A kilo or 2 is going to be a hell of a lot easier to lose than 10.
Depending on overall size. But then isn't it funny how like nearly every conversation we have on any of these topics, whether it's like food at the moment and like training and stuff, like it always comes back to small things done over time. But it just comes back to that every single time. Mm-hmm. There's no quick fix. And if there is, it's going to come with a cost. Essentially, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is all gen pop. This isn't like a note that you got all different chronic diseases and different bits and pieces and metabolic syndromes, or this is all for a generally healthy person to go through these processes and stuff. That's a whole other topic which we'd have a hell of a lot more research to do on it and stuff like
We're
that.
trying to talk like relatively general population that might want to pull the trigger with a bit more size or lose a bit. Like
So that's a whole.
we're generalizing without generalizing, I guess.
Yeah, just to put that out there.
Do you think it helps, like, when you, because obviously you're saying like the struggle of bulking and then the struggling of, you see, for some people with cutting, do you think it helps that you're in, like when you're in that mode, you're alongside people that you're going to be like competing against, or you went to like posing practice and all those things,
classes and stuff. Yeah.
classes and stuff. Like it helps, I guess, with any journey when you've got people going along with you.
Yeah.
And then like you talk about, your partner or your family or friends that would support you in that, and like try and find people that really are on board, not necessarily like doing what you're doing, but really on board with what you want to do for yourself.
Surround yourself with the same people. So yeah, when I went through all that, I had a lot of people that I trained with. So I trained with you obviously around that time. Trained with other people at another gym around that time. A group of sort of 5, 6, maybe 8 of us every now and then, depending on who was available. We'd all go out for breakfast. Most of us, at some point or another, of those 8 people, would take their own meal to breakfast.
Yeah.
They might have a coffee or long black, or they might allow themselves in their calorie counting because they're being strict.
Yeah.
To have a cappuccino.
But again,
pretty much
we've talked about earning that right. Yeah.
All of us at some point or another, sometimes, so half of us might order from the menu, and then the other half are actually bringing the meals because they're going through a really strict cutting phase or whatever at the time. So we've each gone through. We all know exactly what it's like taking your meal to a restaurant. So you go through those different phases and stuff, which it makes it so much easier when you're going and talk about health and about your social health, and having people that understand what you're going through and what you're doing and being able to support you in that.
Yeah.
So, we're all going to catch up on this date for breakfast. Who's available? Oh, yeah, I can come, but I'll be bringing my own breakfast. And I was like, cool, make sure you bring it, come along. Like, we want to see you, we want to catch up and things like that. Like, it's
supportive
very,
people.
very
you
supportive.
Can't, if you're on that on your own, that's such a difficult journey. It really is.
Yeah.
Huge. And like having good people around you that will, and also like keep you accountable a little for a lot.
A lot. Your people watching you. They know what your goal is,
and
they're
like, to have the support, but like there's going to come times when you might sway a little bit one way or the other, and they can push you back on board, or that's worth knowing. Good people will, like even when I was getting sort of pretty shredded, Leanne would be like, no, remember, like, cool,
okay,
and it works.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean everything's always going to be easy and perfect.
No, the hardest part is doing something when you've got a goal when no one's looking.
So the big, how I quite like to sort of try and get some bullet points out of it. So bulking, we're going small surplus. Make sure protein intake's correct based on your body weight. Now that's still a margin there, so we're not exactly sure where, depending on the person. Depends on the person.
Depends on what healthy general population.
Yeah, I'd normally go like near 2 kilo, 2 grams, per kilo, but somewhere in that region, it's not going to do you a lot of harm.
Yeah, 1.8 to 2.2 is sort of generally where I go. Yep.
And then you do need fats, you do need carbs. Watch your energy levels. If you, and like also be intuitive. So if you feel like you're putting on too much body fat and you feel sort of more like that, then have a chat with, if you're getting advice, have a chat with the coach or whatever. Or
nutritionist or whatever.
And also just tweak it slightly. But remember, if you tweak something slightly, don't tweak it for 2 days and expect to see it, because that could just be water weight, or you've gone to the toilet and had a big shit. Like
that,
the reality
so that's a really good point, actually. So for a female, I learned so much when I started tracking consistently with my cycle.
Yep.
So a lot of people will weigh themselves once a week. It's fine. You can do that. There's no dramas.
I nearly always try and go 3 times a week and average it, but again.
Yeah. So some people they just want to do once a week. They don't want to get obsessed with the scales, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. But when I was competing, I was weighing myself every single morning. So I get up, go to the toilet, weigh myself, then get ready for the day. So every single day, then I'd have the average for the week.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you have the month and 2 months and et cetera, et cetera. So when you talk about that sort of thing is a week before I get my cycle, I'm 1 or 2 kilos heavier.
Right, okay.
And a lot of females that I train the same.
Yeah.
They'll sort of go up a little bit the week before and then drop. So that's also something to note as well.
And that's obviously water retention.
Is being very careful with making a change because you've stepped on the scales that once a week or whatever, and you're 2 kilos up. That was really
so
bad
don't
one.
make impulsive
2 kilos up.
decisions based on one bit of data. Like look at the trend.
Look at the trend because I'd go up 2 kilos. Start on that bit, basically, like the. So I'd go up.
You go up.
So I'd go up 2 kilos, and then I've got to really think about where I was going with that, because of my train of thoughts.
So
I'd go up basically, like when I weigh myself in that week prior, I'd go up 2 kilos.
Yeah.
And then, I'd drop 3 kilos after I get my cycle and it's all sort of processed, like it's all done. So if I were to go, oh crap, I've gone up 2 kilos in the last week, I haven't changed my sleep patterns, I haven't changed my nutrition, I haven't changed any of that, and I've gone up 2 kilos, and then all of a sudden I go, oh, I need to drop my calories again because I'm up 2 kilos. It's watching your trend to make sure that you're not dropping too quickly.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you're on way too lower calories than what you actually should be or could be at. But understanding what your body is doing has changed a lot on how I do any bulking or cutting or anything like that, because that does make a difference with your hormones.
And it's also another way, like again, we're going at, right, we're not looking at this, we're looking at this. Mm-hmm. Again, it's another example of another reason that you can't be so impulsive with decision making on things like weight loss, weight gain goals. It has to be looked at over a
period of time,
a time frame. That's obviously a female specific situation, and even within that, it's going to be very different female to female.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So, but it's just another great example of why you have to base things on that longer time frame.
Yes. I just wanted to add that.
No,
when
it's
you said
really
your point, because I was like, well, yeah, that's making adjustments too quickly, like you were saying about, don't change within 2 days.
Yeah.
Have that time frame, and that's like, for me, that's a perfect example to put across, because it's literally once a week goes up, then drops like all the way down, and you if I was to go, oh crap, my weight's all the way up, I need to drop my calories again and make an adjustment in 2 days.
Yeah,
technically,
and you can go
shit, no, I can't do that, shouldn't do that.
You could go down the rabbit hole with that as well. It's like if let's say it's purely like the cycle that's impacting your water retention stroke weight, your ability to perform your sessions, training sessions, the way that you would is going to change, whether sometimes for the good, sometimes for the worse, right? Which then affects how much energy you're using in said sessions. So that's like all these knock-on effects. Mm-hmm. So you have to try and go, I'm pointing the ship in the right direction here, rather than...
I'm going to say I'm a little bit different with that. Most people women more so in regards to that and the strength and everything in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting into a little bit nitty gritty and personal here, but for me, I will be at my strongest when I get my cycle, and most women are not.
Most women just before?
Yeah, just before, just after. Yeah, sort of they have a little bit of a.
Well, it's a hormonal rush, so yeah,
But-
without knowing the exact
Yeah, I think it's just.
systems in place.
But most people take it easy. They're feeling fatigued. They're tired. They've just had their cycle come on. They're like, don't want to push hard in the gym. They might have cramps. They might have there's all these other things going on.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I seem to always get my PBs.
That is interesting.
Mm.
Yeah, I wonder how that would be. Like, I wonder what the data would actually say if there's a average with it, or if there's a generalization with it, or whether it's just definitely completely.
But that's where it becomes individual.
Yeah.
You can't take advice from someone and,
And even
this
if
is what I do.
even if there is a general set of data, it doesn't mean you sit within that set of data. It just
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I was just more down the lines of that then affects how much energy you're going to use during the session and how much you need to be consuming. And it's like, so
we can go on for hours, but yeah.
Just because something's going to change, don't
rush that. Yeah. Don't rush that.
Don't be impulsive with that side of things.
Yeah.
Structure. Put structure in place.
Yep.
Guided structure and follow it consistently.
Yeah. Have patience.
Or you'll become a patient. Sorry.
That
Dad joke. Are you happy with that there?
Yeah,
Can
I
we
think
tie
so.
that up?
I think, we need to tie that up now, probably.
That was a long one, that one. Yeah.
Sorry.
Cool. Done.
80.
Thank you.
No dramas.